Morning guys, welcome to Little Patch Kitchen. My name is Kim and today's video is about canning tomatoes, but I'm going to tell you now that I have broken this down into 3 videos because the videos were going to be, this one video is going to be extremely long, and I decided that if you are looking for how to use a pressure canner and how to can tomatoes in a pressure canner, that you would not want to be watching how to Vacola your tomatoes in the natural preserving Vacola. So I have broken it to 3 videos so that you guys can watch. If you want to know how to can tomatoes that are frozen straight out of your freezer, go ahead and watch this part of the video, and then up the top here I'll have linked, and on the end of this video I will have linked for you the 2 different videos. So one that shows you how to use a pressure canner, and the second video will show you how to use your simple natural Vacola machine to do tomatoes as well. So the size of the jars does not make any difference with the natural preserver, simple natural Vacola. It's just I wanted small jars, so I've done small jars in there. The pressure canner video, you need to make sure that you know how much time that you need to do for your different size jars. I would love to put on the end there how long to process stuff, but their list is huge. Everything is different, from your vegetables to your fruits to your meats in the pressure cooker. So you need to find your instruction book and read in your instruction manual book how long you have to pressure can your items for. The process of using a pressure canner is basically the same on how to get it up to pressure, how to bring it down from pressure. I use the All-American pressure canner, so it is a big machine that I use so that I can fit my size 27 jars from Vacola into it. The bonus thing I love about my pressure canner is the fact that I can pressure can my Vacola jars in it. I can also pressure can any of the little twist top jars in them as well. So I am going to be doing this in the 3 videos so that you can watch how to do the tomatoes, and then you can just go to the link to whichever of the 2 preserving units that you own, or if you want to watch all 3, go for it and learn how to use a pressure canner and see how easy it is to actually do it. I was scared myself. There's still a couple of little things like putting the actual jiggler on. You see that in the video. So guys, check them out, have a look. It is very easy to do. I hope this video helps you and shows you a very simple, easy way to get your tomatoes into jars. And I hope that the video for the pressure canner and the natural Vacola unit helps you guys on your way to preserving your foods in a safe manner. Good morning, welcome to Little Patch Kitchen today. Today I'm going to take you through the process of how I'm going to preserve some tomatoes today. I decided this morning when I was going to get up that I was going to do them so they're still frozen. Better idea to actually take them out the night before, but because I realized this morning that everybody in the house wasn't going to be here this morning, I decided I'm going to do these this morning. So I'm actually going to do this over 2 days, just because of my time frame with going to work. I don't have the time to do it in 1 day. So I'm going to take you through this process and show you how you can do it over the 2 days. I have about 10 kilos in 4 bags. They're about 2.5 kilos a bag. Because they're still frozen this morning, I am fast forwarding that defrosting process just by putting them into a bucket of hot water. So in my bucket here I have one of my bags. It's got hot water in it. The water's not as hot now because the tomatoes are cooling the water, but they will take probably 5 to 10 minutes in here to defrost. So I've got them sitting in there. I've got 2 more bags here, sitting here, waiting to be defrosted. And this bowl, I have already defrosted it, so they're still a little bit frozen in the middle, but that's okay. They will defrost when I put them in the pot to cook them anyway. Now, if you want to take the skins off, this is the time you want to do it. As you can see, the skin is coming off really nice and easy. I don't take the skins off. Most of the nutrients and all the good stuff is in the skins, so I leave the skins. Now, these are also Roma tomatoes. So as you can see, even for a decent sized tomato, there is the tiniest little stem on it. So I also don't bother about wasting time and or the fruit around this to take the stem out of it. I just do the whole lot in one go. So as these defrost, they do become quite soft and really juicy because they've been in the freezer. So today I'm going to do this a little bit different to how I normally do it. So I'm just going to quickly tell you the process that I'm going to do here today. So obviously the defrosting bit, which I'm doing now. Then I'm going to use my blitzer, and I'm going to chop them all up. My blitzer is a really good blitzer, so even though they're still frozen, it will still chop them up to a sort of a diced mushy stage, which is fine because whatever I end up using my tomatoes for, they'll be the right size. So once I've put them blitzed up, I'm going to get them into some pots. I prefer to use a heavy base pot like these two here, but I don't have another one big enough, so I'm just using my big soup pot here as well. So I'm going to do it out between the 3 pots just so that it doesn't take as long, because the more tomatoes you put into a pot, the longer it's going to take to cook down and get those juices out. So now when I used frozen tomatoes a little while ago, I noticed that they were really quite juicy and a lot of the juices come out of the tomato. So basically I'm actually going to put them into a colander and let them drain through a bit first and get as much of the juice out so that I don't have to cook it as long. So once the pots have cooked down, it'll take a couple of hours to get to the consistency that I want them. Then I will be cooling them and putting them into the fridge overnight. That is all I'm going to get to today, because I won't get time to process them and do all the jars and clean it and all of that today. So alright guys, I'm going to get on with this and go through and get these guys all blitzed up and get put in my pots. So this is the pot that I have strained the juice out of. It is quite a lot thicker now. And this is the pot that I'm just heating up to strain. So you can see how there is an awful lot of juice in these tomatoes. So this pot will take a lot less time to cook down than one full of juice. So this is why I'm doing it. Out of that one pot that I've done, there is a fair amount of juice in here. So this first pot of tomatoes has started coming up to the boil. Just need to keep it simmering, sort of a simmer boil until they are ready. Now tomatoes are quite messy to deal with. As you can see, I've got it everywhere. They kind of just splash, so just make sure that you haven't cleaned your stove before you do this project. So just, yeah, keep it cooking away. As you go, you'll see a bit of scum building up on it. Just clean that off as you go. That's just all the impurities that are in the tomato itself. So yeah, just let it bubble away nicely like that. Just skim off the top as needed, and when it gets to the consistency that we want it to be, then we'll turn it off and let it cool for the fridge. This pot is ready to be skimmed. Now I just use a little bowl on the side. I usually use a metal one because sometimes plastic melts if it's too close to the flame. So it's just dropping it in, taking off the top bits, all those fluffy frothy bits. Now you don't have to do this, but I find that it gives a much cleaner, nicer look in the jar. Getting rid of all the bubbly fluffy bits. Now you will lose a little bit of your tomato. It's not a large amount that you're losing. I would rather take all this off and lose a little bit of my tomato and have a nice clean looking jar. You may need to actually do this several times during the process. See from the rim here that it has reduced quite a bit now. So this is very close to being exactly where I want it to be. Good morning guys, welcome back to Little Patch Kitchen. Today we're going to finish off the canning of those tomatoes. So I'm quite pleased. It's quite nice and sort of thick at the moment because it's cold. As this heats up it will become a bit runnier. So yeah, I'm happy. There's not a lot of moisture, extra juice left in there now, so this is definitely good to go for me. Got everything set up here, so we're going to get started and I'll just talk you through the process as I'm doing it. So I have my jars, I'm using 31s. I have looked inside them and checked them for cracks in the bottoms and around the sides. I've run my fingers around the edges to make sure I can't feel anything chippy. If anything's like that, especially when it comes to pressure canning, anything that doesn't look quite right in a jar, an air bubble or anything like that, because pressure canning is a lot higher pressure, please don't use it. You'll probably have them break on you. Water bathing and that is not quite so bad, but yeah. So I've got my seals here. These are size 4 seals here. I've had these sitting in hot water. I find that these are brand new ones, so only use brand new ones. I find that if I put them in some hot water, they are a little bit easier to get on. And then we just flick around the edge just to make sure that the seal is all facing the right way and there's no twists in it. I use my little funnel It just makes things a little bit easier to get into the jar, especially if you're using a smaller mouth jar. Got my tomato in here from yesterday, and to get them into the jars, I just use one of my ladle and ladle it in there. Usually takes about 3 of these ladles, sometimes 4. And I have a little handy dandy, I can't remember what these are called, but they have a magnet on the back of them, and I find it's quite good to just push everything down and get the air bubbles out and get everything into place. Now we want about a 10 to 12 millimeter head space on this, so about a centimeter, and that is from the level top of the jar down to the food. You can get different tools that show you this headspace and measure the headspace for you, but you can see that this is definitely not a centimetre in headspace. So to get that sorted, I'm just going to grab a spoon and pull out some of the food. So generally about where this lip here is, under the jar, is generally where about a centimetre is for the headspace. I'm happy with that. Now as you can see, or you might be able to see, hopefully you can see, there is some food around the edge of my ring here. This is the most important piece of making sure that your jar seals. You can use paper towel. I'm using one of my dishcloths. You can use vinegar, water. I'm just using my warm water here, and it is making sure that you wipe around the rim, to make sure you remove any of the food that has gotten onto the top of the jar. Then you get your lid, which has been washed as well. Make sure that it's not dent. If you're using stainless steel ones, they're a little more expensive, but these are reusable ones, the stainless steel ones. Just make sure there's no dents, no rust or anything like that in them. These ones are, I think some of these are new and some of these are reused. So you pop your lid on, make sure it's on their level. If it sits like this and you put your clip on, it's not going to seal. So you need to make sure that your lid is on and that you can't see any of your seal. Now, when you put your clip on, people do it a lot of different ways. I find the best way is to put one side on, hold that, and then just push the other side down until it clicks in place. And then take a look and make sure that your lid is on straight. Pressure canning, one clip. You don't need 2 clips. Basically the process with the pressure canning is it's going to heat all of this up inside and it's going to push the air out of the top. If the lid is on too tight, then all that extra pressure can't come out, and if it does, it comes out in a really big hurry and you lose some of your content. Alright, so that jar is now ready to go into the pressure canner. It doesn't matter that these rings are wet, because they're going to get wet in the process anyway when you put them in the thing. Just make sure that they're on properly. Now I'm just going to quickly discuss with you guys about the acidity. It is believed that you should put lemon juice or citric acid into your tomatoes before you process them. I have never done that at all during the years that I have canned tomatoes. and I am not doing that today. It is your choice. If you think that you need to add it, you add it. I have not ever had any issues because I always make sure that I process them correctly. You know, everybody has a difference of opinion when it comes to adding tomato juice or citric acid. Again, I think if it's something you feel you need to do, go right ahead and do it. So I'm just finishing off the last couple of jars here for the Vacola unit. So as you can see, I am short on this jar. No, you cannot do this in the unit. So I am just going to put the lid on this and stick this in the fridge and use it within the next couple of days in whatever I'm making. Just put a clip and the lid on it still to keep it covered up. 2 jars left. That's okay. I'll get these in the unit and get them processed up. Alright guys, so that is that. All the jars are full and ready to go into the canners. Now guys, remember to learn how to use a pressure canner. I will put the link for that video here, and to learn how to use a natural Vacola unit as well, I will put the link up here somewhere as well. And I really hope this, guys, shows you that there is not a huge amount of difference between getting your jars ready for going into either of the units. It is basically the same, and you can use the Vacola jars, or you can use ball jars, or any twist top jars, or anything like that. Now, I don't reuse jars that have been used for something else that I bought from the shop. That's just my personal choice. I don't want to risk the fact that they don't seal during the process and I've wasted my food. So please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That'll be up the top here somewhere as well. And thank you so much for watching this one, and we'll see you on the next vid.